Hello again, Struck. This month and this week in particular, we have been bombarded with all sorts of Diablo 4 news, rumors, and even interviews. For example, IGN has been doing a series of videos that were cutouts of a big interview they had with Rod Ferguson, the general manager, and the game director Joe Shelley. And this video, along with others, this is video number 2, centering around the years of refinement interview segment. And that IGN shared, I will share my thoughts. I would share some of the information that was shared with us through this video. This is video number 2 among a few I would be making. Most of those videos would be coming today, if not all. If something I can't edit today, it will be coming tomorrow. But I hope you like what was shared with us. I hope you like hearing my thoughts on it. So buckle up and let's go. So what will I cover with this video? Well, we know that Diablo 4 will be a live service game, so there will be talks about it. There will be talks about the seasons, how long they would be, how many they would be each month, which is kind of connected. Each not month, each year, and the current status of development, as well as how they approach testing. So Rod Ferguson, general manager, and Joe Shelley, game director, talked to IGN about all those topics. So let's start with testing and testing Endgame for Diablo 4. For the first time, they are doing something such as Endgame-Only testing. They want to make sure that the Endgame experience, the post-campaign experience, is ready, finished for launch, so that when they launch in 2023, the players wouldn't do the testing on launch day. And it has been undergoing for the past 20 days, and based on rumors, it will be stopping in another 10 days. So if they test for 30 days the end game, and then they make another open-ish beta, that would give them plenty of time, I guess, to fix things up. So according to Ferguson, testing the game Diablo 4 is kind of like, in his words, soup testing soup. Testing the game is like tasting the soup, and then whoever is tasting it is giving the feedback. So it's too salty, it's not salty enough, it's too spicy, not spicy enough, and stuff like that. That's the feedback of the players, and they have all sorts of players feedback. They have player groups coming to the studio to test it. They have an analytics company helping them with surveys to the current players in the game, and they analyze all sorts of other feedback, such as from the community, from forums, and so on. So they iterate this um, um, by changing things up, and then keep refining. And they're calling this a holistic approach. So everything is happening based on this holistic approach, apparently. And that's nice. That's actually pretty solid thing. Then there is also endgame testing, as I mentioned, and there is close beta testing that came before that. I mean, endgame testing is a close beta testing, but there was a previous close beta that was super limited, friends and family. And the first one, the friends and family, was centered around the main story, whereas this one is they're throwing you as a level 1 character that you've just made after completing the campaign. As if you've just completed the campaign and unlocked the endgame only characters. Yes, kind of like Diablo 3 Adventurer mode. Like the Diablo 3 Adventure mode, you can create an endgame only character, and this is the experience you get without any items or anything that you farmed, completely isolated, apparently. And it might, when you look at leaked footage, I'm not gonna go into detail about leaked footage, but when you look at that leaked footage, you would see it's difficult if you do that. Imagine you're starting your next season and you have no gear to carry over. Yes, you start as level 1 and you have to take it slow at the beginning. It's going to be difficult unless RNG blesses you. This feels okay. It feels nice. You don't start right off the bat being supersonic, moving through the map and doing stuff. But the endgame zones look fun. What kind of endgame zones in a moment, I'll mention that. But this definitely gives Blizzard the opportunity to make adjustments before the launch, to change things up and to make sure the game is properly tested, and that the post story experience, the post story content, um, is um, is refined to the like fine wine, hopefully aged. We'll see how that goes. Regarding the things that are being tested, they're calling it a systems game in their words. And Blizzard are trying to gather feedback from us, and well, I'm not testing the game, but from the players in general, to test things like the Nightmare Dungeons. I'm gonna list the things they mentioned: Helltide, the Whisper Slash Bounty system, and PvP in that endgame area. It's simulating a post-launch, post-campaign scenario. And Ferguson then further explained that when you have some sort of introduction in a game, like a story, to get you ready for the end game, for the real fun, for the starting point, actual starting point, it's good. It's good to have something like that, and I agree. It's good in games with end game to have a story to get you familiarized with the game mechanics and systems before you move on to the end game stuff. And yes, the end game will be reaching the end game will be the starting point. It will be the real grind, the Paragon farming and the gear farming. Max level has been confirmed, level 100, and you expect players, at least they slipped it, but they would expect players to be around level 50 when they finish the story. So even even after finishing the story, you would still have 50 levels until you reach max level. And after that comes the Paragons. But do Paragons start at level 50 or after reaching level 100? That has not been confirmed. My guess is after reaching level 100, it makes sense. The game being as live service is where you would expect people to spend not hundreds but thousands of hours into the game. Diablo 4 as a service and having seasons, again, it's confirmed. Launches next year, and it's gonna be the first Diablo um, franchise as a service PC and console game, excluding Immortal. I'm not gonna talk about Diablo Immortal, so um, I'm gonna imagine it doesn't exist. So let's say this is the first Diablo franchise, not spin-off of Diablo franchise game that will be a live service. And the game, they're saying that it should, in their words, feel rich. And you should have plenty of content as soon as you finish the campaign, plenty of things to do to keep you busy. And yes, Nightmare Dungeons, Helltide, Whispers, Bounty System, and PvP seems good. But there's more to that they're not telling us about yet, just yet. But they did tell us in another video about world tiers and world tier bosses, which I'll talk about in another video myself. Um, and they are also kind of not hard on the wording. They're using some sort of up to wording. When they talk about seasons, they're saying from August they said up to 4 seasons, and I hope they never do more than 4 seasons a year. A season being quarterly thing is great. 3 months, boom, you have plenty of time to play that season, to get your skins that you want, to get your cosmetics, but you also have plenty of time to play other games, and you don't feel like Diablo 4 would be telling you, hey, play this game and this game only, log in every day, log in every week. It's not that. It's more like log in every season if you want those cosmetics. So when it comes to fear of missing out, I hate fear of missing out. Just to put it out there, and I'm willing to accept seasonal fear of missing out if the season is 90 days. When you make shorter seasons like 60, 30, that's a big no for me. And I like that they are doing that up to 4. That means it could be even better. That means it could be even 4 months, 4 months per season. But I think 3 months per season is the right amount. You don't get bored by not having new stuff often. Less often, and yeah, if it was 4 or 5 months per season, people would get bored. But 3 months, I think, is the golden time, the golden middle ground. There, it's the sweet spot, in my opinion. And yeah, the team wants to make sure they can deliver post-launch content reliably, and that's why I think they're using the phrase "feels good." They want it to feel good, and up to 4 seasons. They're admitting that quarterly feels good, and it feels good indeed to me as well. Um, so they're saying that seasons will be big, with their words, big, crunchy, and meaningful. And that not only will they change up the game mechanics, but if they like those changes, if the players like some of those things and major mechanics, they will carry over to future in the future to the real game, to the game experience. Kind of like what Path of Exile is doing right now. Path of Exile is introducing some things with leaks, and if people like something, it makes its way to the core features of the game in the next league. And when they don't like something, it doesn't make its way. But that votes the game eventually, and eventually you have to remove some things to make way for new ones, to not food the people with new stuff. And that's nice. I like that they would listen to us if we like something, if we like some of those weird things, to add them into the game, and this gives them the testing ground to test, to experiment, and see what works, what doesn't. Not just meta outering. And when I say meta, I hope they really mean meta, most effective tactic available, not weta, only effective tactic available. I hope they don't limit us to cookie cutter builds, 20, 30 top builds, the 1% of builds, and then the rest are trash. I hope the word trash build does not exist in Diablo 4. I hope that even the weakest build would be able to do the hardest content, except much slower and with a lot of difficulty. Although the smaller, the lesser the gap between the weakest and the strongest build, the better the balance in the game is. Builds shouldn't be about picking the strongest thing. It should be about picking what suits your playstyle. Everything should be as close as possible in terms of strength. And that's when a game's building really shines, where you don't need to do too much thinking, and whatever you pick, as long as it's properly synergized. Obviously, you shouldn't make a completely anti-synergized build where you play a certain type of damage, but you're stacking another type of damage. That's obviously stupid. But we're not talking about that here. We're talking about proper builds, properly synergized builds compared to one another. And yes, they will use those seasons to test. And regarding that, let's share about what they mentioned regarding current development status. In their words, they're saying that seasons are still in the finishing touches. And another quote is, they've already started season 1 work, meaning they want season 1 to be ready for most likely the open beta that has been rumored, and that's how it goes. Another thing that they mentioned is, I'm not sure if it was in this video or another one, that voice acting is kind of undergoing work, finishing voice acting stuff and finishing campaign cinematics, cutscenes, and so on. And that's good. That means the game is 95% probably ready. And they're just tweaking the last 10%, but we know the last 10% is always the hardest 10% to get right in a game, and the longest. So we'll see how that goes. But both Joe Shelley and Rod Ferguson are saying that they feel good about the current state of development. So campaigns, cinematics, um, the season 1 work, as I mentioned, even voiceover, voice acting. Um, they want to make sure that season 1 will be playable as soon as players finish the campaign, so that on launch, whether it will be as rumored in April or in June, as I hope, it would be done. It would be polished. To get notified when I upload more content like this one or other builds and guides for Wooter and not so Wooter games, you can subscribe to my channel and hit that bell button to not miss out on notifications. As well as keep in mind there's something called memberships on YouTube, which lets you be a paying member for my channel to get access to perks such as emotes and badges made by me, as well as the option to get one-on-one tutoring for the very basics of Adobe Photoshop, Premiere, and After Effects.
and memberships can be cancelled at any time if you no longer want to be a member. Thanks for watching all the way until the end, Struck Web. Keep it cool until next time, and goodbye.